Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and I am a nomadic online business manager, and I help you streamline your operations so that you can manage your online business from anywhere in the world. And today we're going to be talking about a basic tech tutorial for how to build Airtable forms so you can use them to streamline any kind of information collection in your business. So yeah, let's dive into the tutorial.
So this is how to set up an Airtable form. This will first start off with some technical things that I personally prefer inside of Airtable, labeling practices, naming conventions, and all of that. And I will be creating a form that is an application for collecting leads in a virtual assistant business for the use case. I am going to be copying a template I already currently have for sale on my site. It's the one-on-one clients Airtable based template. It's how I recommend managing your clients in your business. You can kind of use it as a replacement for a CRM if you want a more robust way to manipulate the data for your clients. So check out that in the description box below if you're interested in that template. But yeah, let's dive in. So first things first, this is a brand new Airtable base. We're just going to start from scratch, and I'm going to call this applications, this table applications. So I do everything in all caps in very specific places because I'm insane and it looks nice. So it looks clean. So applications are going to go in this first tab. And what we're going to do, so there's a couple of options for creating a form now in Airtable at the time of recording this. So there's the create a form view, which is the old version of Airtable. You make it and it shows up on the view here. And then there's the new version, which is up here in the top bar with automations interfaces, at that navigation bar at the top of your base. So I'm going to do the new one just because I'm trying to get used to the new one. Depending on how you want to keep your base organized, it might be smarter to have it in the view over here because you can do things like add sections if you're on a paid tier. If you're on a free tier, you can't have sections, but you can still do the free, the form view is still available on the free tier. First things first, so whenever you make a new tab being table in Airtable bases, they always automatically have this set up. So I immediately clean that up. I delete these, and because I don't want clutter. So I'm going to delete these fields. I might use some, I might not, I don't know, but we're just going to clean it up from the beginning. I do that, and then I do name, because it's whatever the field is, it's going to be a name. And then I'll do view all for the view name, just because it's going to be everything. I always have this is my first my first sweep for a new table in Airtable is always label this, label the view all, delete all of the extra ones, and then rename this to name in all caps. Just nice and clean. Next, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go over to the form. So actually what I'm going to do is delete this because it's going to pull that old stuff. And I'm going to go to form in the left-hand sidebar, continue, because I want to use the new form experience. If I wanted to use the old one, I would just click create a form view, and that would put that on the side here. And then what I'm going to do is rename this application. So I'm going to say virtual assistant application. And this is me to explain the use case. I'm a virtual assistant, and this is what I'm using to collect lead information from potential clients, right? So it's not like a job application that I'm collecting. I'm not trying to hire a virtual assistant. So first things first is I want to get the name of the client. So one thing that I like to do with anything that involves collecting names is actually turn this into a formula field, which I'll show you how to do in a second, because I always like to have first name and last name. And the reason for that is because you can sort things by first and last name this way. It does help with the long-term sustainability of it. So what I'm going to do is let me slow down. So edit fields, what we're going to do now is turn this name field into a formula so we can pull both of these two fields together. They can just be a regular single line text field, super simple. And then from here, we're going to go into the type of field that it is. We're going to reassign what type of field it is. So now this is going to be a formula, and we want it to pull the first name space, I think, oh gosh, one sec. So honestly, what I do is I copy and paste this from other Airtable bases because I can never remember this formula. But I will put that in the description of the video below just so you can copy and paste it yourself. But essentially it's the field, so you can just type first name and quotation marks space. So this will give that formatting, that space in between the two fields. Otherwise it'll just be this combined first and last name in just one word, and it's messy. And then and last name. So that creates this combination thing. So let's say for all my book talk girlies out there, yes, so here's a good example of what that would look like. So now it pulls in both names. So we have our first and last name formula set. Now we can actually go into the form and build. This part's important to set up first. Okay, so what we're gonna do is delete that because I'm not sure what that is. And then what we're gonna do is add a group. I think we can, let me see. So with the group, do we need a group, or are we able to do this without adding a group first off? So we do need to add a group for the new forms. That's okay. I think we can turn off the group title if we don't need all of these sections for this form. So I'm going to turn off the group title because it's not going to be that big. If you're doing something like creating like a speaker form, you're making an onboarding form, like a pretty robust onboarding form, then I would recommend using the section titles. But for now, for this specific purpose, I'm going to turn off the group title. To find that, if you lose that, just reselect the group and then it'll pop up on the sidebar over here, and it's one of the appearance settings there. So now what we need to do is add another field so we can see that it's in this group because of this blue highlighting. And then we're going to go in here and click plus. We're going to click first name, and then we're going to click last name. I'm insane with formatting. So what I'm going to do is now do first, not do this in capitalization. I literally have no reason for why I do this besides who I am as a person. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to make these required. So we do need both pieces of information to collect this from a client. And then we have these two side by side because it just looks nice. So the next question we want to add is we need an email. We need a way to contact this potential client. So I'm going to create another field. There actually is an email field itself. So I'm going to create the new field here. So when I do this, by creating a field, that adds another line over here. Let's do that real quick. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to create the field. I'm going to label it email. I'm going to find the email field, leave it like that. I'm going to be insane with my formatting. This is not required, but if you want to be insane like me, update that to lowercase. It just looks better. I don't know. Required. We do need that email. Amazing. So now what that looks like. So now we can see that field exists here. We're going to keep doing that until we have all the questions we want to ask. So the questions that I want to have for this application, let me just look at my template. So there's a couple other questions I recommend having on your application. So we're going to keep going through here and doing that. I'm going to pause, show you what it looks like when it's done. You don't need to see me build every single individual field. Okay, one note that I want to share real quick. So what I've added so far is I've added a company name and a website name. I've made neither of these required because sometimes, I don't know, I've had situations where people don't really have a company name, but this is typically what I like when creating the contract. This is the name I put on the contract for the business. So I'm actually going to make this required. I changed my mind there. Website I am going to leave to be unrequired because not everyone has a website yet, and that might be something they're asking you to help them with. So I'm just going to leave that unrequired. With anything that has like a long question, right? So this entire thing, my personal preference is to not have that literally copy and pasted in the field name itself, because otherwise it'll look like this. And in here, like you can see the question, it's just messy. So this is, again, me being insane with formatting. You can just copy and paste the question into the field there when you make it, and it will be there. amazing. I am insane and have a preference of making it a bit more shorthand. So what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to call it business description and leave it like that. So then I can see that there. One other note, if you wanted to know the exact wording of the question you used, you can add a description. So if you go into this little arrow on the field itself, every field has one. You go in there, click edit field description. You can copy and paste the question there. So then it's stored in this little eye. But that's insane of me to do and not necessary. But that's a personal formatting question. One other thing, if you're building a massive form that has a ton of questions, maybe you're using those sections we talked about, groups. One naming convention suggestion I have, so let's say we're asking questions about their team. If we wanted to know more in detail about their team, like how many people, what are their roles, what are their names, what is their all those things. One naming convention suggestion I have is to first start the title of the field with the section of the form and then have it with the amount of people. And then have it with the actual, what is the information? So to show what that would look like, let's just do a single field there. And then let's say we also wanted to know their description of roles. We wanted to have that. So that is one way to add in these sections, these tiers here, or fields here. And then now if I wanted to add a group, let's say I did want to learn more about their team members. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull in the existing fields. So instead of creating a field like I did previously, I'm going to pull in a field that is not currently used on this form, but is in this base or this table that it's pulling from. So what I'll do is I'll go in here, I'll click the plus, and then this is the amount of people. So how many people are on your team? And then we have the description of the roles. Please provide a detailed description of each of these. Wait, do I want to ask that? Description of roles. Please provide a description of the roles on your team. And then if I wanted to make it required, I can do that. Amazing. So let's say that this is all I wanted to ask. One other tip I do have is I always like to ask anything else, have an anything else field, just to give people the opportunity to ask one more question. So what I'm going to do is create a field, call it anything else. I always do long text just in case they want to share a lot. So I do that. And then, is there anything else you'd like to say? And just do that. I always leave it unrequired so people don't have to fill it out if they don't want to, but it's just a good catch-all. And then if you wanted to add any other fields, there's a ton of options in terms of questions you can ask. You can get creative with the single select. So option A. Let's do something like that. So let's say we wanted to service. What service are they interested in? So we can do a couple of things. So let's actually call this service. Not my little chirps. And boom. Okay. Amazing. So that is how that can look. And there's a couple of formatting ways we can play with that. So we can make it a drop down. We can make it a list. So it's more of a select like that. You can add helper text. So every single field has the option for helper text, which is this little bit here. This is not required to fill out. If you wanted to do something like that, have some little extra note underneath your main question. So that's that. And then if we did a multi-select, so I'm actually going to do, no, I can't duplicate it from here. So let's make a multi-select field. So that would be if you wanted to do like select multiple things, like social media platforms is a common one for this. So Instagram, let's do TikTok, and Facebook. Okay, so for example, the use for this question could be, what social media platforms do you market yourself on? So now we have the option. For these, I recommend doing the list view because then it's easy to just like check all that apply. For this type of question, any kind of like check all that apply questions, I recommend having a helper text that says check all that applies, and boom. Make that required or not. I'll let you be the decider of that. The question for this could be, what service are you most interested in? If you're doing that kind of question, what I recommend also having is not sure, just because people might not know. Yeah, and let me think of any other bits when it comes to formatting and creating your form. You can get crazy and do things like conditional fields, which I'm not going to go too super into, but that's how you can play with that here, which is helpful and one of the most powerful things about Airtable, in my opinion. This is nice if you're like, you can have a character limit if you really wanted to have like a certain number of characters collected for whatever reason. And yeah, so let's say we're all done. This is the form. What we want to do now is publish the form. So we're publishing that. And then it will give us a couple of options. Okay, little timer, go away. For this purpose, we're doing this on our website. So this is something we want anyone to be able to see. So we're going to do anyone on the web. That's new. Interesting. That's a new feature. That's fun. You can also do more internal security feature things. So like anyone at a domain. So like if you have a lot of people on your Airtable account that all have the same domain, that's how you can regulate that. And then this would only be for people who have access to the specific base, of course. So we're going to do anyone on the web, since that's what we want to publish on our site. And there's a couple of ways we can share it. So to continue with the example of doing an Airtable or an application on our site, maybe I have a button. So if I have a button, like for example, on my OBM retainer services page, I have a button that links to the application itself versus embedding it. So in the button, I would put the link itself. So that would open it up here. It opens up and shows the Airtable base. This would not be there. Let me actually grab it, what it would look like because since I'm signed into my Airtable account, this is like internally what it looks like, but one sec. So this is an example of what it would look like with me not logged in. I currently have the paid tier, so I did add a logo and the like banner that's not available on the free tier. I don't think it's personally worth upgrading for, but to each their own. Maybe you upgrade for a month and then to get the logos uploaded and downgrade your account if you're insane about formatting and wanting those things on it, which I respect. So now we can see all of that. So let me grab the example that we built together. So now we can see the first and last name, email, all of these things. This single select field, we can clear that selection. Multi-select field, amazing. The team members question and all of that. Alternatively, if you wanted to embed your form, you can of course click embed, and that will give you the code to add to your site wherever you want to embed that form. And then you should be good to go. Once that's set up like that, then you can go back to view data, which will bring you back to your base, and then go back and click forms, and you can see, oh, that's nice. The preview option's also good. So this preview option is available for you to like kind of see that not internal view. But if you ever want to go and share your form after you've already built it, like let's say I'm not building the form now, I just need to share it. Like I know this form exists. I know it's exactly what I want it to look like. Amazing. So now I'm just going to come back over here in this forms field or forms section of my base, click the form. All of the forms would be listed on the left-hand side. If there's multiple forms, right now we just have this one. And then we'll go over to share form, and then it will go through those same prompts we already talked about. So yeah, that's how to build an Airtable form. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thank you. And there you have it. That is the how to create an Airtable form. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.